हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। आज का टॉपिक है टीचिंग फॉर बिहेवियर मॉडिफिकेशन। तो वीडियो स्टार्ट करने से पहले चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए और बेल आइकन को प्रेस कर दीजिए ताकि आगे आने वाली वीडियोस का नोटिफिकेशन आपको टाइमली मिल सके। वीडियो स्टार्ट करते हैं। टीचिंग फॉर बिहेवियर मॉडिफिकेशन। वी हैव लर्न दैट लर्निंग इज अ रिलेटिवली परमानेंट चेंज इन बिहेवियर. Behavior means different for different persons. Some are of the belief that behavior is sum total of all the personality traits or characteristics that an individual possesses, while some others believe that behavior to be the observable actions that an individual demonstrates. The behavior modification approach to teaching is based on the second belief. When we change or modify the observable behavior of a child, we are directly or indirectly trying to help child to learn. Observable behaviors are mainly of two types: elicited behavior and emitted behavior. When we make a child to behave in a desired way by adopting some means, we are trying to elicit or draw out the behavior from the child. For example, when we make child run by offering a chocolate, we are trying to elicit or draw out the behavior of running from the child. On some occasions, you might have experienced that an individual without any visible external cause demonstrates a particular behavior normally you had not noticed earlier in him. We categorize such behaviors as emitted behavior. A little child humming an unknown sweet tune, a student solves a difficult problem in an unusual method, or a girl demonstrates a dance pose which was not taught in her dance class are some examples of emitted behavior. When a child is made to demonstrate these two observable behaviors, that is, elicited and emitted, as normal occurring behaviors, then we say that the behavior modification has taken place in the child. There are two phases of behavior. First phase is concerned with making sure the elicited or emitted behaviors occur again and again as and when required, and the second is to continue the process of modification to refine the existing and acquired behaviors to acquire more and more new behaviors. The process of habituating the child to repeat and modify both the types of behavior is called conditioning by the psychologist. There are two major types of conditioning depending on the two types of behavior: classical conditioning, that is conditioning of elicited behaviors, and operant conditioning for conditioning the behavior emitted behaviors. Classical conditioning. Ivan Pavlov, a Russian psychologist, did pioneering work on classical conditioning around 1890s. He noticed that in his laboratory, hungry dogs began to salivate when they were about to be fed, even before they could see or smell the food. Strangely, they seemed to be salivating at the mere sight of their keeper or even when they heard his footsteps. This simple observation led Pavlov to a series of carefully designed experiments involving ringing of a bell or sounding a buzzer, neither of which ordinarily leads to salivation, and immediately presenting dogs with a food, a stimulus that does lead to salivation. After considerable number of such combined presentations of sounding of bell and then food, the dogs salivated with sounding of the bell even if food is not presented. In Pavlov's experiment, the bell is referred to as a conditioned stimulus, the food is a natural or an unconditioned stimulus, and salivation in response to food is an unconditioned response, whereas salivation in response to the bell or buzzer is a conditioned response. Initially, ringing of the bell or sounding of a buzzer is a neutral stimulus, one that does not lead to response for salivation. In general terms, a stimulus or situation that readily leads to a response can be paired with a neutral stimulus to bring about classical conditioning. This is also called respondent conditioning because the elicited behavior occurs in response to a stimulus. Operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is the outcome of a series of elaborately designed experiments by B.F. Skinner around 1940s with rats and pigeons. In general terms, operant conditioning is to strengthen, Skinner recalls, reinforce the behavior emitted by an organism. Emitted behavior is called operant, so that the probability of its occurrence increases. This increase is the result of reinforcement. The key concern of Skinner was to discover the relationship between reinforcement and behavior and to clarify how behavior is affected by its consequences. Skinner differentiated between two of his most important terms, reinforces and reinforcement. For example, a reward or food is the reinforces, and presenting food when a response is emitted is the reinforcement. The occurrence of the emitted behavior and also shaping behavior by modification of emitted behavior can be possible through variations in the schedule of reinforcement. Reinforcement always strengthens the occurrence of the emitted behavior. However, there are two types of reinforcement, positive and negative. Positive reinforcement involves the presentation of pleasant stimulus followed by an emitted behavior, which strengthens the occurrence of the behavior. Whenever a teacher smiles at the student, says something pleasant to them, praises for their work, assigns high grades, he or she is using positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement relief occurs when removal of an aversive or unpleasant stimulus following an emitted behavior strengthens the occurrence of the behavior. Threats of punishment, failure, detention, humiliation, ridicule, and several others are examples of aversive stimuli given by the teachers in the classroom, which, when removed, provide relief to the students, followed by the occurrence of the desired behavior emitted by the students. Punishment is not reinforcement. Punishment is inflicted either by presenting a painful stimulus or by removing a pleasant stimulus, which invariably causes painful feelings, both physical and emotional, in students. Giving physical punishment, scolding or threatening in the class, and detaining after class hours are some examples of punishments given in schools. Operant conditioning has been applied in developing several technology of teaching. Prominent among them are programmed learning or programmed instruction, and recently in the computer assisted learning. Relevance of behavior modification approach. Behavior modification approach has made us aware of relevance of several common classroom practices as given below. Repetition is important for learning follows from all theories of behavior modification. Repetition without reinforcement does not enhance learning. Adding the reinforcers helps modification of behavior. Punishment is not very effective for eliminating undesirable behavior. Interest in work and in improvement is conducive to learning. The major criticism against the behavior modification approach is that it only considers the observable behavior for modification and hence for learning. It might be quite suitable for animals and for very young children, but with the advance in age, there is mental development and the observable behavior may not reflect the actual intention of the individual. A school aged child demonstrates some behavior only to attract the attention of others and to avoid punishment. Hence, any modification of manifest behavior may not actually result in learning. सो गाइज ये था आज का टॉपिक। आई होप आपको वीडियो पसंद आई होगी। प्लीज़ इसे लाइक एंड शेयर ज़रूर कीजिए। थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग।